All right, well, welcome, everybody. This is a cool morning. I love that you guys are starting to do some tours together, which I think is wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Is that a trend that you'd like to continue?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think we got, life happens, so then you're
Oh,
like,
for
oh,
sure.
we gotta take, you
Well,
guys
I
are
was
getting
gone
that,
too,
yeah,
but
oh, yeah, I
yeah,
forgot.
yeah.
Well,
I was, yeah.
look at urban real estate happens.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that's a perfect example of the life that we live, right? It's just things
I
happen.
saw that sale recently. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
So, speaking of sales, we got another, look at Carrie. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the love-hate relationship with Zillow, and at some
Oh,
point.
there's another one too, Renee.
Yeah, Carrie.
Renee. No, I love it. I love it.
Renee, I'm usually used to seeing the ceiling.
Like it's like trying to figure out how to do.
Coffee.
Yeah, you guys, please feel free to get up and because you haven't had a chance to settle in. There's coffee, there's fruits, there's yogurt in that room. There's a lot of healthy stuff. There's turmeric shots if you want to take some of those in.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Delicious with lemon.
Hey, Gary.
Thank you.
No.
This is great. Hi.
Oh, yes, I'll definitely. Oh, I take a lot of sugar.
Okay.
Should I go where the sugar is?
Bring it.
Are you sure?
Anybody want a coffee? Well, I never thought we'd get this kind of service, but this is such a Hensley thing.
Yeah.
This is a Hensley thing.
Good morning. Sorry, I was sending a text.
Oh, no, don't worry.
Good to see everybody. Feels like it's been a while.
Been a while.
A togetherness thing.
I
has been a
know.
while.
Yeah.
And we didn't put any pressure on Urban because Urban got here like right at 9. And it was so funny because I'm like, should we start the meeting? Because I felt like, well, if Urban, I think you're usually like early guy.
Yeah, I'm
You're
usually
early
I
guy.
hate being late.
So when you miss Urban, I'm like, holy shit, if Urban doesn't show up, he's the one that calls these things.
Yeah, right.
But just know that I know that in real estate, it even happens where something happens and you gotta save that. So I get it, you guys. And I was the worst when I was at Hilda. I'll tell you, when I was at Coldwell Banker, I was the worst because I was the guy that during that entire meeting, you had 10, 15, 20 escrows going. I was on my phone that entire meeting. And I didn't make any apologies for that, just out of arrogance, but then, yeah, literally out of arrogance, but then I would see other agents do the same thing and I think, God, it looks so bad. But then I get back into the wormhole where this transaction sucked me into the phone again.
Mhm.
So I get that it's a battle, and please know that I don't judge it from where I stand now. I really don't, because I've been there. It's brutal. But I wanted to talk about. Urban will do the judging.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about Zillow, and I called it a love-hate relationship. And within the love and the hate comes in when we get threats that, oh, we might lose the program or something like that. And they did a really, I think a really poor job at managing emotions, because a lot of the times that these things would come in, we were working so hard. And then we would just get kicked while we're trying to build this pipeline up. Shannon's killing herself on that side, doesn't miss a single call, vets everybody, does everything she can. And then you hear you're ready to be disengaged, and those type of things. Well, we have 2 months in a row that we've gotten like best in Zillow, and that's like nationally, so we have some pretty high scores right now. And I say that with all due caution, because I also, as the highs come, the ass kicking can come on the other side. I also know that Zillow is somewhat of an annoyance to people. It was certainly to me, to people that have been in the business for a long time, or people who are busy. So I never get offended when people say, hey, just pause me or take me off, or I'll just serve as a backup person if you need some help. Always happy to do that. Zillow will only be around as long as people want Zillow to be around. If people don't want Zillow to be around, personally, I can't handle the pressure. It's too much. It's too much. It makes me want to take a shower afterwards. It's not, there's so much money that gets taken out. there's so much money that the company has figured out that it needs to even have a remote chance of making that a profit center. It's never been a profit center. We're so far in the hole over Zillow over the last 3 years since we went to the flex model that there's not enough years ahead of us to recapture probably the couple $100,000 that have gone into that program. But I still believe, and Idisham, even more than I do, believes that it's a value add for anybody coming into the company that wants to get some traction and get some business going. And if nothing else, have the opportunity to go show houses, because that's the one thing you'll do. If you're part of that program, you're going to get out there and you're going to show houses, you're going to meet people, you're going to have the opportunity to have discourse and sharpen your skill. But at the minute you feel like you have too many in the pipeline, it's certainly time to say, to me, your life is so much more important, and the balance and health and everything, especially with what I'm trying to do for myself these days. I do not wish off balance on anybody, because I think better than a lot of people what that extreme feels like. So anything you can do, but any comments on that and the words that I've just shared?
I heard they're taking away the program with the Premier Agent paying program.
Oh, that was gonna happen.
Yeah,
I
they're
haven't
taking away-
heard
they're
that.
switching over to Flex completely,
Yeah.
and they're not even having people pay up front anymore. Like it's slowly, I've been hearing about it online, a lot of chats about it, so.
Well, and you know why that is? Because they've been training us for 3-4 years to do this better.
Mhm.
I mean, they've kicked Idisham's ass to run metrics. So Idisham got hired primarily because of metrics and Zillow, and Danielle was a big part of the reason Danielle had a lot of work at the beginning was because of this whole thing called Zillow, and this was going to be the end all be all. The reality of Zillow is that there have been months that if it wasn't for Zillow, we wouldn't have closed a single transaction. And because of Zillow, we closed 10. So, I mean, it's been dramatic that when the market dries, Zillow is still a viable option of some revenue for an agent. It sucks that they take that much, but I'll tell you, 5,000, 10,000, 20, 30, 40, however much you can get out of a transaction, that's money that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. I had somebody call me yesterday, and you know who this is because he went to school with you and Susan. He's a super high-end touring guy in town, takes people through the winery. He picks them up literally at the Learjet and takes them through. And yesterday, basically, he called me and said, how much are you guys going to pay me for these referrals? Because I've already referred 2 or 3 people out. So people are in our commission dollars that way now more than ever. I had to explain to him that that's illegal to pay referrals out to somebody without a license.
Yeah.
But I had to literally spend about half an hour on the phone with him.
Did you tell him to get his license?
Yeah,
Right.
Right? Seriously.
What a concept, right?
Right.
What a
We have to do
concept.
something nice for whoever does that, but we can't.
It's
Just
not a
say,
money,
oh,
it's not an
here's $3,000 or
exchange of money,
$4,000.
yeah.
You can't, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Same in our
Yes.
business.
Yeah.
We can't even pay another loan originator.
Yeah.
You can't, not
Right.
one penny.
Yeah.
Can
You lose
happen.
your license, right, yeah.
Regarding Zillow, and if we're just speaking freely,
Please.
I found if you're not doing any business, you got to keep your mind in the game.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a great way of, doing something real estate oriented every day. The issue is that as I've gotten busy and I use this example because I was working with someone who was looking at $200,000 properties. Had me go to Santa Rosa, Petaluma,
Yep.
Sonoma,
Yeah, we've
Then
been
I-
there.
then out
Yep.
Fairfield. And then when I learned how Zillow all worked, I was like, oh, I've spent more on gas.
Oh, certainly.
Then I'll make off,
Yeah.
then I'll make off a $200,000
Yes.
property. And that became frustrating as my business was building.
Yeah.
Because I was rescheduling a very potential lucrative client because I had promised this Zillow
Mhm.
buyer I was going around.
Yeah,
So that's where the conflict came in, especially after I learned how they took 35%. And so it's a struggle in that way. I know you have to take everything that comes your way, right? There's no way of filtering.
Nope.
So,
Yeah, and we could talk about that a little bit. It's they push back hard on the old school way. I'll call you and me the old school way. So the old to them, the old school way is, qualifying somebody. Are you working with another agent? Are you asking any of those questions that we used to ask back in the day before we put somebody in the car, met somebody at a property? Now it just really comes down to meeting the person. And what Zillow wants to see is they want to be the company that gets people in the house without the least amount of obstructions, because that's what keeps people going back to Zillow, because now those agents are the one. And we find it almost endearing that people like Irisham's dad, who's been a client of ours forever, till Irisham gets his license in a couple of weeks, then we lose him. But Irisham's dad, he calls any agent in the world too, but he's gonna end up using us. And he'll call any agent because he knows that they just open the doors. He doesn't even have to bother us because he thinks it's bothering us. And that's the world that we live in now. And that's the world that we better get used to, because your clients are calling agents through Zillow and are being shown properties by Zillow.
Yeah.
So that's how much we have to be on our game to educate our clients that, hey, when you go to Zillow and you ask to meet with an agent, you might be taking a little bit of my job away, because my job is to really be there before a Zillow agent, or something like that, because they think all of us work for Zillow,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Well, I think that Zillow's figured out, and I think we've figured out too, that the likelihood of us converting that client when we meet them face to face
Well
and
said.
what we know
Well said.
about our area and that we're the local experts, a lot of times you might find out that they had been working with somebody, but they've decided, oh, they're gonna work with
100%.
us.
That's
So-
a lot.
There's that, that meeting and greeting is super.
Well, that's why they're
important.
doing away with the program Sarah's talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
That's why they're doing away, because the rate of closing on agents that are paid, agents that pay us Zillow Premier agents.
Yeah.
The rate of closing is on the floor. There is no accountability. People don't even call people back.
Yeah.
When I used to pay $18,000 a month, me personally, Jerry, just on his own island selling real estate, $18,000 a month, I wouldn't take Zillow calls. They would discuss me. As Susan,
Yeah.
shit, another fucking Zillow call. I mean,
Yeah,
there were so
yeah.
many calls. There were so many calls coming in. I didn't have Shannon answering the phone. We hadn't figured out any of these things and how
I
to do
think
them.
Danny was in there every once in a while.
Oh,
trying
once-
to answer calls, but there were so many projects
But then-
and so much business.
And
going
Dan,
on.
and Danny was
Yeah.
so early onto the game, he didn't know how to close back then.
Mhm.
So he would take all these calls and we would figure, oh my God, Danny's got all these leads. He doesn't know how to convert.
Mhm.
So it was just all a waste of money. And Zillow figured out that if they didn't hold our feet to a fire to a certain extent, we did whatever we wanted and didn't answer the calls.
And I don't want to make this, I have another question.
Okay.
But say if I get a buyer that wants to see something in Napa, but then wants to go to Fairfield, could I hand that off?
Sure.
And is that a problem internally with us?
No, internally, not at all. No, not at all. Because I thought you were gonna go further, which is,
Because I think Sarah, you're
I think
closer
they're-
out.
Yeah.
to-
Well, and I think you
she
know
knows
that
the
area.
area
well.
very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. And then there's also the going, how do you refer an agent outside of the area? Now that you've worked with somebody, how do you refer with an agent? All of a sudden your client says, the person you've been showing to here figures out that they got a job transfer in LA. And all of a sudden you got to walk away from that client without anything. And that's where it gets tougher, that's where it really becomes a challenge on referring somebody through the program, because no matter what, whatever you do, Zillow's getting a piece.
Mhm.
But if the client goes down there.
Yeah.
And you're not involved, Zillow doesn't get a piece.
Well, Zillow would get a piece.
Yeah, you still have to, if you refer them to an agent, it has to be another.
Yeah.
100%.
You
That's
don't
what
get anything, but.
you don't get to pick
yeah,
the agent
yeah.
outside of the Zillow.
Yeah, you have to give them back.
It's brutal.
But I
Yeah.
think we as a company get credit.
Oh,
I don't
If
think
for
the
the
agent,
closing?
yeah. Yeah, I think that's why they want you to refer out to a Zillow
Yeah.
agent, but technically you could refer it out to any agent. It's
But-
just Zillow
but
wouldn't get a piece.
But if they found out you referred it and you got a referral on it, that's because me and Shannon had to deal with that somebody who had an Arizona property. You have to refer it to a Zillow agent and they also have to agree to take a split and all the stuff. Whoever you refer to has to take a Zillow split.
Zillow wants their,
Um,
Yeah, oh,
And they're pretty strict about, I mean.
Zillow's gonna
they-
get paid,
yeah.
no
Yeah,
matter
they're
what.
gonna get paid for sure, yeah. Yeah, but with that being said, I do more than Fairfield. Like I just closed one in El Dorado Hills on Zillow not too long ago, a month ago or so. I've got, this isn't in Zillow lead, but I'm in Tracy right now with the contract that'll close at the end of the month. So I'm kind of all over. I'm going to a listing appointment today at Oakland. So.
My first sale here was in Tracy.
Oh.
Tracy, wow.
Yeah, talk about a Florida boy driving over those
Wow.
mountains. I was holding on tight.
Okay.
And people on that road on Tracy, that one road right when you're coming into Tracy Drive, like, I can't, they're like zooming up behind you, and you're like, is this a racetrack? Like, yeah.
Hilda, you want to give us a little, maybe to walk away from the Zillow talk? I just had a lot of Zillow. I wanted to celebrate the best of Zillow that we've
I
gotten.
introduced Harold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't I let you make the introduction, because I love the story about how he started in this business and also where he's from as far as leadership.
Yeah, so Harold and I met in Leadership Napa Valley, class 35. And through the year of learning everything about Napa Valley and getting ourselves into leadership positions in accounting. And we were on the same practicum team that helped out the abode services, the Southside shelter. Yeah, you become friends.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing guy. He's also works at the Napa State Hospital. Which I thought was a real hospital. until this week. But just an amazing father, friend, and Napa leader. So take it away, Harold.
Thank you, Irvin. Yes, as Irvin said, I worked many years at Napa State. I still do. Mostly in nursing, mental health counseling, and now I'm in administration in that area. And I think, as Jerry mentioned, when we talked to each other, he asked me if I was ready for the crazy world of real estate. I'm like, I've been doing it for 25 years.
Real crazy.
Doesn't skip a beat. Yeah, so that's one of the things I found great about when I first got into real estate is those conversations. That was like natural to me, and meeting people where they are and just being able to, assess people and see what they really want and have those conversations, which is just something I've been doing for years. So as Jerry said, my story was about 4 years ago or so, me and my wife were looking to buy our first home here. She's from Napa, didn't want to stay in Napa necessarily because she grew up here, but we looked at American Canyon in this area as well. And we didn't really get much traction with any agents or agencies. It was just like, come in, look you up and down, and then move on to the next person. And we just felt that energy. And we stereotypically, we didn't, we come in with our kids and people, I'm sure agents like, oh, they're not serious. They don't, whatever. But they just really didn't give us any headway, and we got ghosted a few times. So like, okay, I'll do it myself. We'll, find the area we want to live in, and that's what we did. And so I did my first deal. I got my license through, luckily the pandemic happened. So I had time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it took a long time to actually take my license because every time you get ready to take it, it shuts down. So it gets shut down. So finally that was the case. And I got my license. I worked my first deal there. I ended up in that deal having to kind of get my transaction coordinator license because the other side didn't do anything. So it was a lot of work, a lot of back end work. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be interesting. But it showed me a lot of, processes on how to do things the right way and how I want things done. And I'm very, when we do our disc at True Leadership, a DEI, but I'm also an SR. I like detail. I like accuracy. That's come from nursing and what I do for a living. And, before I go with this place, I have to make sure all my data is correct. So kind of my thing. When I talked to Irvin about my transition more, I'm getting ready to retire in a few years toward real estate, and what type of team or agencies I should get into, he really did say, hey, you should take a look at Homestead. The people that are awesome. I think you'll find a home here if you're interested. So we went that route.
Welcome. We're excited to have you.
One of the things I said, and which you mentioned, is, if I was a buyer, I would like to work with an agent that reflects who I am as a person. And you didn't find much of that. And one of the things Jerry and I, we spoke about since the beginning is the diversity among our group and, you know, different talents, you know, temperaments, convictions, you know, race and everything.
Yeah.
Where, you know, not to mention my former company, but I didn't see myself reflected in anyone. And I always felt like a constant outsider.
Yeah.
So, I feel much more at home here.
I appreciate that. I love, I really appreciate it. And hearing Harold's story, the thing that stuck to me, and I've told him a couple of times, is the grit that it takes to say, if nobody's gonna help me, I'll just go get my license and go buy my own house. And I think that takes a lot of courage, because I told him, I said, if it was me, I just go home and whine about it a lot. Whine and whine and probably wouldn't do anything, because it's paralyzing sometimes when you're discriminated upon. And I know what that feels like now in this valley. I'll share with you a story that made the news. I don't know if any of you know that I was on the first page of the paper. I got pulled over behind Home Depot. And just because of my temperament and my attitude to the police officer, I literally got drug out of the car, beat up by 4 cops. And it was because that day I happened to be driving my son's beat up little pickup truck, and I had a white t-shirt on and a baseball cap. And the first question, you know how when they pull you over, they say, you have a driver's license, and that's what you're used to hearing. I mean, I got pulled over in a Mercedes Benz in Los Banos driving 105 miles an hour. And all that cop did was, you know how fast you were going? No, sir. 105 miles an hour. What do you have to say for yourself? Please give me the ticket. That's all I said. Please give me the ticket. And he let me go in a Mercedes. But in the back of driving a little beat up pickup truck, this guy pulls me over behind Home Depot. There's nobody around. And the first question is, are you armed? That was the first question that came out of that guy's mouth. And he's talking to a guy that makes over $1 million a year, successful in Napa, you know. I just didn't even understand that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He calls for backup. So then 3 more cops come in. And then when they asked if they can strip search me, I threw my hands up, and 4 of them jumped and beat the snot out of me. I almost broke my shoulder, put me in jail here and all this and that. And the good thing was that in my birth certificate, my name is Geraldo Rodriguez. It's not Jerry Pujols. When I made and I had just lost about, like, now I got even skinnier. I probably down to like 180 pounds. Nobody in the paper recognized me. Nobody recognized me. Only Robin Rose was the only person that recognized me.
Was it Robin or Kelly Marchbanks?
It wasn't even Kelly Marchbanks. It was Bill Cofield that went to Robin's office. I think this is Jerry. And that was the sheriff's department in Napa, which is very much a good old boy thing going on there. I don't know. I don't feel quite the same about the city of police, because I haven't had that problem. And I have a lot of clients that are with the city police. But again, I'm just sharing that, not to bring the energy down, but only because I've been impacted by it so deeply in a town that's predominantly Anglo and Mexican. But I've been here since '87, so things have improved dramatically. My brother came out of the closet in this town. There was no coming out of the closet in this town when Tony came in at 16 years old. It was something you couldn't do. And I changed my last name from Rodriguez to Pujols just so I can run heavy equipment, which is what I did for a trade since I've been 14, 15 years old. I run heavy equipment. They wouldn't let a Mexican with Rodriguez as a last name get on a piece of equipment back then. Heavy equipment were for the white people. So we've all been, but I love your grit, man. And the point that I was trying to make is welcome aboard, and I'm learning a lot from you. Because that's what I want to emulate is don't let it consume you. Just do something with it and do something about it. And you handled it in such a gracious manner. So thank you and welcome aboard. That was a long way to have a class on diversity.
Oh, good.
Wow, I just emptied out there.
Yeah.
Dan, are you still there? Shannon?
Of course I am.
I love you, buddy. All right, so Hilda, you got any updates for us this week? I'm hoping.
Well, first of all, welcome Harold, and just be careful when Harold says he's gonna assess somebody, it might be a different assessment.
By the way, and he's also very modest. This position comes with, he manages over 400 people. So it's a huge job and
A lot of
huge position.
personalities.
Yeah, and people have told me that he doesn't even know that I know that he does that job very, very well. So I'm really looking forward to your future here. Yeah.
Great.
Sorry.
Well, some good news.
Woo!
Yay, because it had gotten really dark. We had some days in the mortgage market that I think I've said it. You know, sometimes if the bond market changes about 25 basis points, so, you know, a quarter of a point in shift, which isn't a lot, that can impact a rate. And on one day in particular, we had 70 basis point worsening in mortgage bonds. So we went from this, you know, kind of going along like this to this and then it just kept going and kept going. And so last week we had a couple good reports. Consumer price index was good. It's inflation is coming down. Our year over year inflation is down to 3%. It was at 9%. So this is huge. And so we started seeing a huge improvement in mortgage bonds. Had a little bit of a blip last week, but still the last couple of days have been pretty good. Not huge swings, but all on the positive side. So we're back to where we were about a month ago, you know, basically. So 6 7/8 at 0.5 point, high balance 7 1/4. Still high balance is just terrible with 1.5 points. Jumbo ever since the banks had bank failures, jumbo mortgages are not priced as well. We're still up in the low 7 range.
Will they adjust? Do you
Pardon?
think? Will they adjust?
I
on the
think when
jumbos?
things settle down a little bit, possibly. I think there's still a lot of uncertainty. I mean, we had some major bank failures and kind of just moved along. You know, the First Republic with Chase taking them over, and you know, Silicon Valley Bank. You know, they're operating as normal. Nobody was damaged, but there's still some skittishness out in the market. FHA's pretty good, 6 5/8 with no points, or 6 1/8 with a point. So that's real good. VA 5 7/8 with 1.5 points, or 6 5/8 with 0 points. So I think we're going to be in a downward trend from here on out, but it's not going to be a straight line. I think we're going to see some bumps in the road, but overall, we're going to be trending down.
Well, is it safe to say that we'll never see, you know, 2s and 3s in our lifetime? Is that safe to say that, or do you think there's?
I would never have said, actually, Sid, do you, because I think this is going to get really hot on your back. If you guys want to from back too.
Like,
I was wondering why my hand like this.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Better.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think so, but with that being said,
Anything.
who knows?
No,
Because
seriously.
any other massive economic event like we've had in the past, I mean, they're saying that if we go into a recession, it's going to be a very soft landing. I mean, the feds have been so aggressive with raising the prime rate. It's intended to send us into a recession, but employment's been so solid, and all the economic factors have been so solid that they're really thinking that if we go into a recession, it's going to be a very light recession. But recessions are typically really good for mortgage rates. So, but if all out war breaks out, if China invades Taiwan, if we have these major world events, we could see, you know, really low rates again, but I'm hoping not, because then we have some stability in the world. So Freddie Mac came out with a, and I emailed this to Sid and Idisham so they can send it. Freddie Mac came out with a report that says rates have been between 6 and 7% pretty consistently for the past 9 months. And kind of saying that that's the new normal, that people have kind of settled into understanding that this is where it is right now, and people aren't as skittish about buying based on rates. that they've kind of, absorbed this information and it's settling in and people are just gonna start moving forward with what they need to do. And hopefully that'll, ease up some inventory. So the economist said, the way buyers perceive today's mortgage rates is shifting. They're getting used to the new normal. Steady rates are contributing to strong buyer demand and consistent home sales. So, and also you'll see in the PDF later today, a little blurb, same one that I sent last week with what's up with real estate. And it's got national real estate news. And then I went in and it's Napa, Fairfield, Solano areas and what the active listings, the new listings and medium days on the market. Just know if you guys are interested in getting this and access to this report, it's list reports and I'm happy to get you guys on board with it. And then you can access this data and share it with your,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really cool.
And then the last thing on here, I'm gonna ask you guys a favor. It's, we've been nominated for Napa Valley's Finest and Best of Napa County, which is two totally different things. We're focusing on Napa Valley's Finest, which we've won in the last 2 years. And it's a text to vote is the easiest way to do it. And all you do is you text to this number and you put our number in. So if I can.
Yeah,
ask
Can you
guys-
text us the number
Yeah.
and then we'll
Yeah.
just reply?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
What's the number?
It's,
She'll text it.
707 846 6832. And then you're gonna text 579 to that number.
Okay.
Yes.
Will you send us a
707,
text?
846-6832, and we text 579.
Correct.
Yeah.
846.
6832.
Nothing like the present. 707. Yeah, I got my glasses on. I got them open.
846
846.
6832.
Oh, you need a 6 in
Too
there.
young for glasses. I think.
I know. Hey,
I can't see.
I was so happy Stacy did that. I just feel so young now. 6832, you got it. And then the number to put in.
So taking them off and putting everything close to
Right.
it. Because now.
Now you can do it daily, right?
You
Daily.
can do it daily
I'm
and you can
about to
do
I
it.
just
Transition.
5-7.
Oh, look, it just says thank you for choosing. Color. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'll put a reminder to do it every day. For how long?
It's
Urban.
through July 27th.
No?
And
Okay.
we're a late start on it.
No, I've been wearing
Weird.
glasses since
Started like a
second
week
grade.
ago.
Edie, can you put that in our calendar to hit that up every day between now and July 27th?
7.
That'd be
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I saw a report this morning that Bank of America had a 19% increase in profits. That they were trying to look at the bank stocks to see how they did through this turmoil,
Uh-huh.
but apparently they're doing pretty good.
Oh, the big banks never took a dip. It's the medium-sized banks that, yeah, big banks, they're untouchable. They're too big to fail their profits were over the top.
But it seems they're doing well in this environment.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, I have a couple of buyers that are buying because they're scared of what's going to happen to prices if interest rates come down.
Mm,
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
There's a cause and a
Yeah.
smart
yeah,
buyer.
there is.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a smart buyer.
So Hilda, I have a question. I have a lot, I mean, not a lot. I have buyers that have come through like the open house and people in conversation and they basically are saying, we're kind of palleting the interest rate right now, but we're gonna refinance when it go down at, hopefully to 5%.
Yeah.
Is that still kind of the forecast that, because 5% is a good rate.
It's a
I
great
mean,
rate.
5%, 5.5 is a great rate. It's just the 6.5, 7.5. I mean, we've paid 12 before,
yeah.
it just becomes, people can't imagine that or even
Yeah,
live that.
I think that,
With pricing.
yeah, because of the payment, but it comes down to the monthly.
Yeah.
And I think that, everything I read and experts are predicting
Still.
5 to 5.5%, probably more. I would be more comfortable, sticking with that 5.5%. If that's the target. And if you have an $800,000 mortgage, the difference between 6 and 7/8 and 5.5% is hundreds of dollars a month.
Right,
And it makes sense for them to refinance. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes buying down an interest rate doesn't make sense. It's like put the money in the bank, supplement your mortgage payment, because if you do a permanent buy down, then you're never getting that money back.
right.
So.
Yeah.
It's almost psychological for people to just have that lesser payment. I mean, it's just a barrier that they
Yeah.
struggle with.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that that buy down is that, oh, my interest rate is this, so I'm
Yeah.
better off, and they're really not. I mean,
Not.
but you think that, I
Yeah.
mean, they offer it, so it must be good.
Yeah.
It's like they offer me candy at the store and it's
Yeah.
not good and I still consume. I mean,
Right,
Right.
yeah, hence
So.
the 20 COVID thing, but.
That's right, that's right. Oh, my.
That was real.
Yeah, definitely real, but I think overall, I think like I said, I think we're gonna see a slow and steady decline in rates.
Yeah.
Not a straight line, definitely not a straight
Right.
line.
And interest rates go up so quickly and they don't drop very fast.
That's
So,
absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all great reports, Consumer Price Index, the Producer Price Index report that came out last Thursday, I believe, was very positive also, and that the Producer Price Index means that the people that are manufacturing goods that we're going to buy, their cost is down, so, that goes down the chain, which should be that, consumer prices continue to go down. And that target of 2% is what the feds are looking for. It's a very hard number to achieve, very hard number, but we're already at 3. I mean, that's, and so they're anticipating still this month, they're gonna do another 1/4 point increase in the crime rate. And maybe that's it, but it's pretty baked in this month,
Have you seen increased confidence because of the stock market? I mean, the stock market's doing well.
doing well.
So have the lenders, borrowers just seem more comfortable or
I
any?
think they're just starting to unpucker a little bit from the rates,
Yeah.
but a lot of borrowers, in all honesty, if you've got a first-time home buyer, they're not that invested in the market. They're a little bit younger. They're not, I don't hear people gaining confidence from the market being that. Maybe more sophisticated buyers, but then they've got a whole host of other gauges that they're using. We're seeing a lot of traction with kind of the thought process with the older buyers, like let's say ones that would be eligible for a reverse mortgage, who have money invested in the stock market, of keeping that money in the market, in their investment accounts, in their retirement accounts, and using that reverse mortgage to help supplement their monthly so that they're not touching those investments. And you never want to pull from investments for monthly living expenses or to supplement but if you can use the mortgage to supplement whenever you need it, over the long haul, it's a much better financial decision. And keep that in mind for your older borrowers, using a reverse mortgage for purchase, or even,
What's the rate though right now on a reverse? Because reverse is high.
it is high, but you're only paying on the money you have out.
Yeah.
So if you don't need it, you're not paying on it.
Yeah.
And that it's adjustable, so as rates come down, but it's probably in the 7 range.
But do they actually make a payment or does the
They
pay?
never make a payment.
Okay, it's deducted
Mhm.
from
Correct.
equity.
Yeah. And it's just the interest that accrues is added. But then your home, logically, hopefully is appreciating.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it does make sense for certain older people,
Yeah.
because where are they gonna go?
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always say if they can outperform it as long as they can live to 100, and
Oh my
we have a
gosh,
client
our
that
neighbor.
did, she lived to 100 and she
Yeah.
really outperformed that.
oh, yeah.
She
Yeah.
did so well,
Yeah.
I had a hard time hearing anything beyond on puckering, is that a financial term you use often?
I experienced that.
And I don't know. Well, Anyway,
I knew exactly what she meant.
Yeah.
got
They're
to,
relaxing
you
in
got to
their-
unpucker. Yeah, they're finally starting to relax.
They're finally becoming more accepting of the higher rates.
Yeah, it's funny, I heard that early on. And I've been through enough cycles that I should have heard that before, but this time I think I just really heard it where people need and they say it's usually about 90 days, they need about a quarter to just catch up.
Well,
To
this has
acclimate.
been 9 months.
It's been a long-
right,
long-
yeah.
Yeah, no, they're acclimated, no, I think you can see.
And generation hasn't known anything but low rates.
Right,
You know,
that's
so
true.
let's talk
Right.
about, our rates were back at
Right.
10%.
Yeah, right,
Right.
yeah.
But I don't think anybody's still going, I mean, people in the 2.9% interest that live in a $2 million home are not going to sell because whatever they buy next,
Yeah.
at 5.5,
Right.
it's going to be a tremendous monthly mortgage.
That's Sierra and Jerry Junior. Every time they think about the idea of letting that house go and get something, maybe single level or something that suits them better, they're at 2.99. It's like,
Yeah.
where are you gonna,
Yeah.
are you,
Oh.
their mortgage payment is $4,000 a month. Where are you gonna, you can't rent
Nope.
a house in Bel Air rarely for that.
So funny is every time I run numbers.
Oh, it doesn't-
Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I know.
Oh.
8,000? Yeah, right. 8,500? Yeah,
Doesn't that sound great?
What-
yeah.
But so if interest rates come down to 5.5%, you still have a huge number of homeowners that won't sell.
You still have a,
Right.
absolutely.
But-
I have one of those right now. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Holly,
no,
go ahead.
no.
That they want to move. And I sold them a house probably maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And their rate is like in the twos, high twos.
Yeah.
We're out looking at property. They shopped around for mortgages. They just texted me and said, Susan,
There's no
we
way.
think we're just gonna put it on pause for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, they
I
wanna
think-
move, they want a bigger yard, they want a more modern house. You know, their house is like 2,800 square feet, they bought it for $825, it's
Oh, nice.
probably worth,
I
like
feel like the only way
1.3.
to get out of it is to put that property on the market as far as for a rental or a lease.
yeah.
Then be
And
able to
then,
have that
yeah.
cover that 2% mortgage. And then.
And the
move on.
kids.
we
we
talked about
we talked
it.
to The kids about that
Yeah.
too. So you keep this as a.
Yeah.
rental.
They sell and then they go rent for a while.
Yeah.
And they've talked about that too. So
Yeah.
they're kind of, they're
Yeah.
totally in
Yeah.
that whole like dilemma.
It's
What do
like
we
a
do right
shackle.
now?
Yeah.
like a
It's probably
shackle.
not the best time maybe for them to think about buying. They don't have any kids, you know, this
But
and
I would,
that.
but I
They're
would say,
flexible.
because I remember when those folks called you and you were talking to them. Instinctively, I knew right away
Oh, yeah.
that it was gonna be a no-go.
Yeah.
You know, so out of respect for your own time, sometimes you're better off having the
But
brutal
we did have the
conversation,
meeting up
but
front.
they still wanna go shopping. So they,
Yeah.
I think they
And we
should
saw
talk to the
like 4 or
lender.
5 houses. There's not a lot of inventory out there
Yeah.
right
Oh,
now
yeah.
too in that price range. Oh, they can put a huge down payment. Yeah, but
But,
still
yeah,
at
that's-
2.99 or whatever they're 2.85.
They're not gonna see it
It's
again.
like,
That's why there's no inventory.
So at 5%, do you think it would be more for them? If it was at 5%, would it be?
oh, I think they would jump on it even at 5%.
At
It's an
5%,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Cause you
yeah,
just never know what.
Yeah, what the
number it's
threshold
gonna
is, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I have a feeling that probably what will happen is they'll probably end up selling, you know, and cashing out and sort of just kind of, because they have the flexibility. They
Yeah.
can both work from home, they can go wherever they want.
They'll
honestly.
get rent shock too, cause
Yeah.
rents are.
Yeah.
Rents are up
Yeah,
still.
rents are up,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the problem that a lot of these younger couples experience is they have a house now that's worth 1.3, you said. Well, they're not gonna probably buy another house that's worth 1.3 because they're buying their same house.
Right,
And now their property taxes from 800,000 are at 1.5.
correct.
So on
Oh,
top of higher
that's so-
interest rates.
Yeah.
the
Right, it's-
taxes.
And honestly, you're right, we talked about that. It's gonna be more of a lateral move. So you're just moving to move,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
to get a more modern
Well,
house.
and it's so funny because people are like, oh, my house is worth 1.3 now, I wanna buy something, it's like, well,
Where are you gonna go?
Where are you going?
Just
Yeah.
relocate the cheaper area, but.
Yeah,
Right.
right, yeah, yeah,
We-
they're both
Except for
kind of in the
relocate.
wine industry, they're probably not gonna do
Yeah.
that, but.
We did this too, by the way, because we're from Florida, we wanted a pool, so I looked at a house that was 500 square feet bigger than ours.
Mhm.
About 10-12% bigger, and had a pool, but our mortgage payment would be double.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's not worth it,
No,
just to have a pool, no.
Nope.
no. get a
Go,
hot tub.
go. Yeah. Instead of pool, plunge pool, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you have the corner house, don't you?
Yeah,
Have access to that backyard.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can still plunge, yeah.
and you really don't need more than a plunge pool.
You really don't need,
Oh, no, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you just want something, yeah, you're right.
yeah, it's a gathering spot.
But you can gather around a smaller pool.
Anything else, Hilda, from your side?
I think that's yours.
That's a huge update. I loved it. Thank you. And thank you for a little bit of good news.
A little bit of good news.
Yeah, it's a glimmer, right?
It's a glimmer.
So
Yeah.
anybody have any, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Calls from people that have been out in the market asking me about financing a 5-unit property, which.
Yeah, we got multiple offers.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I probably had 5 people.
Oh, for sure.
Call
Yeah.
me about financing
Yeah.
that 5-unit property.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I told Susan, I said, please don't put, you gotta contain the agents. The amount of calls that she received over, that was just insane. And that was even with some parameters
Even with
built around.
parameters,
They were just calling. But the
randoms.
tough part is that then you get these yokels out of Woodland calling that have no business or knowledge about this market and it was just brutal. But anyways, it's gonna do well.
Which
Yeah, yeah.
cap rates are so low here, I don't get why, so, I mean, people really want them.
Yeah, I even put on the confidential remarks, cash offers preferred, Right.
Cap rates are
But-
so low here.
This
So-
feels
If
like-
anybody would ask me, there's
Say again?
20 other states that you
Oh,
can go and buy
right.
homes
Right.
that make money.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
$1,000
Here they
a month.
bank more
I'm pretty
appreciation.
sure
Some
you're
of those other
getting
states just take
long-term
forever to appreciate.
Imagine, right, 5 years.
And the rents here can drive.
If someone can hold it,
If they can hold it,
yeah.
but there's
that
also
thing's
repairs
cheap.
too,
There's also.
Yeah. so.
Anybody want to go over any needs and wants? Anybody have any needs and wants?
Opening it up the floor.
Yeah.
I would like to touch base back on Zillow real quick.
Yeah, bring it
Just,
back.
just wanted to mention, I personally like the program. Yes, there are some, people who are not really serious and it's a waste of time and you drive to Berryessa or wherever that you don't want to do, but, I've had a couple of closings from it and to me, it's going back to what you said, when you don't have much else going on, it's still being in the game. And I've built some good relationships.
Are you
through it.
trying to pump me up? Are you pumping me up?
No, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
I appreciate
I
them.
personally
No, I
like
need
it.
that. No,
And
really
I don't
appreciate
have
it.
yet a bucket of clients
Yeah,
that
no,
are
I
like, "Hey, let's
appreciate
go buy
that.
homes. I'm building that, so.
Yeah.
So
This
Idisham
is
is the
mine.
one, Idisham, so then you must be who he's thinking about when he says, hold it together, Jerry, keep it together. Oh, because sometimes you want to just react and. Because Zillow doesn't even know what they don't know. They don't know the pains that we
Yeah.
suffer and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my
And they
God.
don't care.
And
But
they
I don't
really
see that
don't
kind.
care. But no, thank you.
Yeah.
But
That
Zillow's
means
changed
a
their
lot.
metric, the way they measure things, I think 3 times. And now I think they're gonna change it again in September. So they're reworking their metrics on how they assess companies.
How they
So
come at us.
This is
Yeah.
constant change.
Yeah,
And I don't know what's permitted or allowed or how you see this program working. But if we could either meet one-on-one or as a team, I mean, I personally wouldn't mind being skipped over and a Fairfield lead going directly to Sarah.
Yeah.
And I'd just be skipped over. That would work probably better for me and where I am in my business than feel, because there was a part of me that I would obligate myself to whatever call it was, let's do it.
sure.
But now I'm getting to the point where a drive for an hour and 15 minutes is not conducive when I live here
Right.
to go to
But at
Fairfield.
the same time, you have to put in
Yeah.
consideration that I'm just as busy probably as most people.
Yeah.
I'm closing a lot of deals. I'm still gonna take every lead, whether it's the bottom feeders or the top feeders, because at the end of the day, that bottom feeder gets me to the top. So
Yeah.
there's gotta be some sort of, give and take in that.
Right, and
Well, no, and I think what Urban, sorry, Ben. I think what Urban just said benefits you.
Yeah.
If,
Oh, no, of course Fairfield, but when there's like, Berryessa,
Yeah,
or
you
there's
know,
a little
yeah,
small.
yeah,
Right, they're under
We
200,000.
if I
Right.
have to do it, everybody on the Zillow team should have to do
Oh,
a $200,000
God.
lead.
Oh, God.
Because it's not fair to be like, oh, here, Sarah can have all,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
the
Well,
Berryessa
and that-
ones, because she'll
We've
drive there.
we've been there
We've been there
before, we've
before,
been there
and that
before,
didn't work
yeah.
because
Yeah.
it wasn't fair for
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah,
right? It's like, the lead is your lead when it's your turn,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of thing, you gotta take.
so
the
I think
lead
it
and
would
work
be,
with it.
no, I'm glad we have time
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to go over this, so, and definitely your input is probably the most
Sure.
important right now. But I also think that, there's also the time when, and Shannon, please speak up. There's also the time where Shannon has nobody.
Yeah.
So maybe at that time when she has nobody, maybe reaching out to you because there's something in Napa and nobody can show a Napa property, you know what I'm saying? So that
Right.
maybe that's what you might be talking about.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
right?
like a
Yeah.
fallback person, yeah,
Like
for
a
sure.
fallback.
Because I
person.
definitely think like, of course I go to Berryessa, I just did it last week, but then yesterday I showed $2 million properties. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
those things where, and they're not just in Napa, there's Sonoma, they're, wherever. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, yeah, you do take the crappy leads, but you know that there's gonna be the
And the
better leads as
rotation.
well.
or-
It's not like, oh, I want to do all the $1 million leads, don't give me anything,
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
not $1 million, I'm not doing it,
Right.
type thing. That's what
Yeah.
it's not fair.
We tried.
And I
that.
agree.
No,
It's not,
Yeah.
but I'm on Choose Annex just to get to Circle Oaks. I haven't even been to Berryessa yet because I'm too scared of the.
Oh, you and Linda can write it.
We gotta put
Funny.
Sid, Linda and Urban, the people that don't like the windy road. Oh, Sid, you explore a lot though, you're not afraid.
I will never drive Jameson to Fairfield. I'll always go. to Windy
Jameson
Windy
to
Road.
Fairfield. You do the windy road.
Yeah, I'll never do
Oh,
Jameson.
Jameson is brutal. Jameson is brutal.
Traffic.
That's not, yeah.
So it's not now.
It's not as
Little
bad.
It gets,
No,
oh,
Jameson
in the
County's way better.
afternoon.
Way better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely better. The part that's a problem right
Yep.
now is the roundabout.
Yep.
If the roundabout was fixed and cleared
Yeah.
up, there wouldn't be the huge backup.
That
but I
back up
think
there
that-
is
yeah.
brutal, right?
But if it's like around 2:30 to 3,
Yeah.
4, you don't want to take Jameson.
Yeah,
You
No,
just
no,
go over the hills.
go
And even
over.
over the hill, sometimes the people on the road are just, it's almost
Yeah.
more dangerous to just. do
Yeah.
it the other way.
I do have to say, the more you do it, better it gets.
Yeah.
Easier it gets, I should say. It doesn't
Yeah.
ever really get better,
Yeah.
but easier,
Yeah.
Coming
definitely.
back down from Circle Oaks twice, I just couldn't do it. I made that left and went through Fairfield.
Oh my, you want winners?
Yeah, way around because I was like, I can't do
I
it.
feel like when you take that Woodland Road, after coming into Napa, that's like the windiest part. I feel like if you go from, because I come up through Woodland now, road and or I think it's
That's a
Woodland.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not as windy after that way, so I don't know.
I mark it off as in minutes, like I leave Napa, I hit a property that we have up on Monticello, then I hit Circle Oaks and I'm like, okay, 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
I kind
You
of
know,
do the same thing. I think
Just
that's
so I-
I do too.
because we're local and we've driven that road so much, even as kids.
Yeah,
Right?
well, I just
Yeah.
know where I'm at,
Yeah.
but the worst part of Berryessa is the other side of the lake, the Pines.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
It's
45
forever.
minutes.
It's forever.
Pope Valley.
Pope
I
Valley.
don't need
It's
to-
forever.
I don't need to- Pope
I
Valley
think I
is-
saw.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's not,
That drives worse. I think Clear Lake and that one is,
Yeah.
because I've done all of that, yeah.
That feels like going to Clear Lake. I mean,
and
it's
they're
like
dangerous
going.
forever. They're
Yeah.
like, is there anything out here? Do they take the
Yeah.
wrong turn?
Yeah.
Where am I going?
Yeah, yeah.
No GPS.
Well, it's when your phone doesn't work is the worst.
Yeah.
Now, Marianne, if you get to the very top, your phone starts working again. You got great service up at the
Yeah.
top. But it's between there where you're like, if your clients, you just tell them, hey, and then I actually tell them now, and hey, this is way out of range. Yeah, and I also say this is out of range, it's not close to Napa, so you're not gonna have cell service. As soon as they hear that, because they think it's from
Yeah.
Napa,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I don't even want this
That's
property.
really
No.
smart.
Yeah.
I love that.
And they're like, oh, then they realize how far it is. I had one person say, nope, we don't even want to buy out there no more.
That's a great way to qualify.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? On the other flip side, it's that meeting that person
Yeah,
in
that's true.
person.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times that you go out there, $650,000 house, but then they end up buying something in Napa for $850.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think just.
It's a gamble. There's
Yeah.
some gambling.
Yeah, no, I
involved,
agree.
yeah.
I agree.
You
That's
build
why I
your
take them
trust.
all. That's why I
Yeah.
do it all.
Yeah,
Yep. Give it to me,
totally.
Shannon. Give it to me, Shannon.
Yeah.
I try not to say no, but unless I really can't, but
Yeah.
the couple times I've been to Circle Oaks, it's, people don't know about it. You
Yeah.
get in, they go out there,
Mhm.
okay, now we see why.
They wanted Napa.
Yeah.
Their dream was Napa and they
Mhm.
get
The
confused. but-
Circle Oaks is a better.
Oh,
closer-
oh, come on.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Well, they say that Northern California and Napa is the only place where living on the hills, and considering that the hills is way less expensive than being, you go to LA, you go up the hill,
Oh,
forget about it.
Right, right,
And Circle Oaks doesn't get that respect at all.
yeah.
It's unfortunate. I know CC Short, remember CC back in the day, she used to advocate, get up there, this is heaven, this is heaven, this is heaven. Well, she was the right agent to sell that because she sold tons of it. Because she believed and she lives up there.
Yeah,
But-
it's nice, it's rural, it's
Yeah,
15 minutes away.
but it is a gamble. I mean, she did
Yeah.
kill somebody on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you do that road every,
Sketchy road.
boy, I'm on a roll today. Yeah, yeah. Sherry. Okay. So any needs are wants, so we can leave this thing on a high note.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm hoping people are gonna eat something. Dan, you're gonna miss a lot of fruits and vegetables. No, all fruits, all fruits.
Stacy, could I
to
put
see
you on
you.
the spot just a tiny bit?
Yes.
So Stacy's is a full-time agent.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited.
Back up.
Yeah.
I've been working on the website the
Uh-huh.
last 2 weeks and I'm at the point now where I have to do the IDX
Yes,
plugin.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, oh, it's a little technical.
yeah,
so-
I talked to
Reach
Idishon.
out.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Mhm.
sounds good.
Yeah.
So I already reached out to Barry's last week for the,
Okay,
I watched the video, but I've had some recent change in my full-time position in the wine industry, and so I'm kind of in this weird spot in that I've got 2 kids to support, a single parent, and do I make this transition to full-time real
Mhm.
estate? Or do I continue to feel like I have this security blanket with another employer, with a 401k, with all of this? So
Mhm.
I'm still in this tug of war struggle, but I still want to continue to chip away at,
Yeah.
my real estate. And so
Mhm.
I've only sold one property. It was that one 40-acre
Yes.
lot last year,
Yeah.
but I think I need a little guidance personally in the leads and getting generation and all
Yeah,
of this.
you gotta start riding with us too on
Yeah,
tour.
and
start,
That'd be
Like,
great.
just
Yeah.
really
I need to get
submerging
myself
yourself,
into it.
honestly,
100%.
doing more open houses,
I-
all of that.
I'm in a good financial position in that I think I can just skimp by for the next 4 or 5 months. If it doesn't really pan out for me, I'm gonna have to make it.
So I would recommend something.
Yeah.
So pretend that you don't have those 4 or 5 months
Yeah,
and go out as if you need a check next month.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And also you're at a crossroad right now. And I think the most important thing at this juncture, because I've been there. We had 4 kids at home. We were behind on our mortgage. This is right before I got my license.
Scary.
Mhm.
No, and get this, I was running heavy equipment, I run a crew. I got the job at Coldwell Banker. And I had a few transactions in escrow early on, but then I get a call from OC Jones that the Lucky's across the street was being built
Mhm.
across from Coldwell Banker.
Yeah.
That I can run that crew there and I can have a job in Napa and make $150,000 a year. And I called Susan, I said, Susan, they're offering me this position, but I can't be a Coldwell Banker and running a crew across the street.
Right.
That's not gonna look right. She's like, no, you take that job. We fucking need to pay our medical and our mortgage is behind and all this and that.
Yeah.
And my words to Susan at that point was, I'm gonna bet on me.
No.
And I'm gonna bet on me, and I'm gonna ask you to bet on yourself.
yeah.
Because, and it's easy for me to say now being on this side of it, so, but at that point, I can tell you that Susan not working, watching 4 kids at home, and the weight of all that was incredible.
Yeah.
But it was the weight of all that that got me there. Because the one thing that I'll tell Harold that he'll have to fight hard with is he's still gonna get checks every single pay period. That's
Right.
gonna happen forever for the rest of his life. And if he thinks about that and thinks about this business as just a fun thing to do,
Yeah.
the results will be super different. But if he goes into this business as if he has absolutely nothing,
Mhm.
what he can accomplish is just insane. So we should talk more.
Yeah.
Let's talk a lot more.
Just to what, to put in my 2 cents,
Mhm.
I'm a single mom of 5 children and, there's months
Yeah.
where. I have months where like, because sometimes it'll feel slow. It'll just feel slow and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like, and I tell a lot. So, but it still feels slow some months. And so when it feels slow, I literally am like, oh my gosh, maybe I should DoorDash, maybe I should get a job. And I'm like always second guessing myself. But then like when you put in the work and you do it, it comes out. Like it seems slow sometimes and sometimes it is. You only get 1 commission check or whatever. But then the next month you get 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's one of those things, it's like up and down. But if you do it right, I definitely think saving a lot of money and having a savings, you know, and paying your
Absolutely.
bills, don't ever like let yourself not
Mhm.
save.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't have enough to pay the bills, you still want to save because the savings, when there's no money at all, is huge.
Right.
Yeah.
But your attitude of being open and available to everything.
Yeah.
That's the
another
attitude
thing.
every
Yeah.
brand new agent.
And literally everywhere.
Yeah.
If you tell me.
Yeah,
I'm going.
Stacy, you're gonna have to be a Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do it. You can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And leverage my social media. I mean, I have 3,000 people on my social media. Anytime you want me to post something for you or about you
Yeah.
on my social media, I'll sing you
Mhm.
praises because I know who you are and what you do, you know, so.
Even if it's on eating a bowl of sugar.
If she starts backing down the sugar, that's where I draw the
yeah,
line.
yeah. Jerry, turtle.
Oh, yeah. Start showing salad, show the salad and. Yeah, no, I think that's
I'm At
wonderful.
least happy to have time now to be able to
I love it.
build more relationships with you guys. 'cause it
Yeah.
has been sort of sporadic. in
Sure.
between, But
Yeah, it is. It's hard for this business to just be a part-time business, because it really is a full-time business.
mhm.
So,
Well, and I think to myself, if I worked as hard as I had, the
Like that.
energy that I put in my
Yeah.
previous employer.
exactly. Do it for
do that
yourself.
For myself, I wonder what.
You'll
could
be-
happen.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Right,
That's awesome.
agreed.
Well, we wish you luck.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
just
I-
Not worth it.
know that we're here for you. Yeah.
And, well, the other thing that I would say is, whatever anybody tells you, just travel your own journey.
Yeah.
Because I remember people would tell me,
I don't feel pressure from anybody.
Yeah.
I do. I like to live my life balanced.
yeah,
And.
yeah,
might
just
be-
travel your own journey. Yeah.
Mhm.
People used to tell me that it was impossible to sell, you know, not impossible, but people would say it's not realistic to think that you can sell 3 or 4 houses a month. People would say that to me. People have been in the business forever. That's just not realistic. That's just not realistic.
At their pace.
There's no ceiling.
Yeah.
You know, the ceiling is created by us and I love that you said the balance piece because I was way out of balance. I assure you, way the fuck out of balance, but anyways, you can do it.
Thank you.
All right, you guys.
I do have a new listing coming up at the end of the month. Yeah, it's a 4-bedroom. It's it's on Oakmont Port,
Oh, yeah.
in southeast Napa. We're coming on at 1395. It's a pretty sizable home. Oh, with a huge ADU.
Nice.
So, yeah, the
It's a
ADU
nice
has a
neighborhood
full
up there.
kitchen, dining area, living room,
It's right there.
bedroom,
Yeah.
and 1.5 baths is the
Yeah.
ADU. 3-car garage.
Oakmont.
Yeah.
It's very quiet. It's a
Huntsville?
cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How far up on Oakmont? Are you at
Um,
the beginning or the end?
towards the beginning.
Yeah.
Towards the beginning.
I have a new mobile home coming up.
What's that?
Lucky, you are the queen.
I
Okay.
certainly am.
All right.
Yeah, it's a 2-2, it's an older one, 91. The former manager told her 4 years ago she could get 425,000.
Oh,
I would
wow.
probably lift it at, 249.
Yeah.
And so we're in negotiations about, how much to lift it for, but it's hasn't been updated. It's all original. It's in good shape, new
Mhm.
roof, newer roof and stuff, but anyway, that's out there.
Gotta love
In
that.
Sun Communities,
Is that
in the same park?
Yes.
Okay.
I got one in escrow last week. As soon as I get one in escrow, another one pops up. Seems
How many units are there in that park?
Pardon?
How many units are in the park?
242.
Wow,
Is that what it is?
wow, I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
It's a big park.
I like that part.
Nice
My
part.
favorite ones.
Yeah.
Linda owns west of 29.
Yeah.
What?
You own the area west of 29.
You guys, I had 2 realtors call me that have units out there that aren't selling, asking me advice. I.
That's great. I love it.
I've been doing this 2 years. I don't think you want to be after me.
Yeah,
They want to
but
know
you're
what
also
you're doing.
selling things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want the secret sauce. To say, hey, I'll
Anyway.
list it with you.
Yeah,
That's what I've got going.
That's good. Should be proud of yourself. Yeah, you should be.
The mobile homes don't pay as well, but they're just as fucking hard.
Or harder.
Yeah.
More work.
And guess
Yeah, a lot
what?
to go
When
more, for
Astro closes, you gotta be out. You
And with
can't-
one comes another one. I love
yeah,
that.
no rent back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a.
Yeah,
Good experience.
yeah, yeah. All right, people. Dan, thank you for joining us today. Dan is already into his day.
Yeah, he's muted us.
He's muted us.
Yeah. He's like, I'm out.
Well, this was fun. It's nice to
Yeah.
see everyone.
Well, thank you, Erwin, for making this happen.
No,
It was really driven by your initiative, so thank you.
Yeah.
I said, hope it's over.
After this. up
Yeah,
there.
we never talked